Sun is rising like fire through the trees, and I'm on the porch with a steaming cup of tea. A blue jay singing out a chorus and a warning, and I find myself here in the middle of the morning. The sun is shining off a glisten of last night's rain. The whistle's blowing in the heart of a distant train. Little reminders that the world's gonna keep on turning. I might find forgiveness in the middle of the morning. In the middle of the morning, well, I think about you so far away. Maybe you're driving some empty back roads. Maybe you're speeding off down the highway. The sun is drying out the mud on the tractor tires. The bluebirds are lining up in a row on the telephone wires. And I've got work to do and a whole lot of learning. Think I'll start right here in the middle of the morning. Great time to start again in the middle of the morning. Good morning, everyone. Let's join our voices and sing one together. This is based on some words written by Rumi a long time ago, and then Leonard Cohen put them into a song, and then a lot of people have played with this grouping of words and made it into different things, and this is a little call and repeat with these words. And it's written in here, but I'll call out, and then you can repeat, and the only thing that's tricky is at the very end, there's a line I say, but then we all say a different line together. But we'll learn it together once here, and then we'll sing it again. So it goes. Forget your perfect offering. Forget your perfect. Just sing the song that you can sing. Just sing the song that you can sing. There is a crack in everything. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. Yeah, now you got it. Let's do it all once again together. Forget your perfect offering. Forget your perfect offering. Just sing the song that you can sing. Just sing the song that you can sing. There is a crack in everything. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. Well, good morning and welcome. My name is Megan B. I'm visiting from Athens, Ohio. I'm a touring singer-songwriter, and I was playing a show up in Cuyahoga Falls at the Jenks building last night. And anytime I come up in this region, I don't get up here that often. I've been to this service a couple times before, and it's always been a delight. So I'm so glad to be back after probably 5 years. It's been a while since I've been up here to visit. So it's really delightful to be back here. And so I want to welcome you. I'm going to be sharing some of my journey and my story of coming through music, and I'll be sharing some songs also throughout the service. But I just want to officially welcome you all. And nobody gave me any announcements, but I wanted to make sure that if there were any announcements, anybody could feel free to come up here and make sure the announcements were read. So are there any announcements? All right, then I will continue by lighting the chalice. I'll move back over and play a song while the offering is passed as we give away the plate. What you gonna do, little birdie? What you gonna do all day? What you gonna do, little birdie? What you gonna do all day? Are you gonna pick some berries and crack some nuts? Swallow some seeds and dig a worm up? Build you a nest of sticks and leaves? Sing a sweet song in the morning breeze? What you gonna do, little birdie? What you gonna do all day? Are you gonna fly away? Are you gonna fly away? What you gonna do, little oak tree? What you gonna do all day? What you gonna do, little oak tree? What you gonna do all day? Are you gonna drink some water and stand up tall? Change your color when it turns fall? Stretch your branches way up high? Dance in the breeze as it goes by? What you gonna do, little oak tree? What you gonna do all day? Are you gonna grow so tall? Are you gonna grow so tall? What you gonna do, little rock? And you guys can do that part with me when I say rock. You can clap 3 times, and we'll try it again. What you gonna do, little rock? What you gonna do all day? What you gonna do, little rock? What you gonna do all day? Are you gonna hold somebody's memory? Skip across the waves, headed out to the sea? Be the firm foundation of somebody's house? Lay in the ground, watch the plants can sprout out. What you gonna do, little rock? What you gonna do all day? Are you gonna lie so still? Are you gonna lie so still? What you gonna do, little children? What you gonna do all day? What you gonna do, little children? What you gonna do all day? Are you gonna pick some berries and crack some nuts? Swallow some seeds and dig a worm up? Build you a nest of sticks and leaves? Sing a sweet song in the morning breeze? And drink some water and stand up tall? Change your color when it turns fall? Stretch your branches way up high? Dance in the breeze as it blows by? And hold somebody's memory? Skip across the waves, headed out to the sea? Be the firm foundation of somebody's house? Lay in the ground, watch the plants can sprout out. What you gonna do, little children? What you gonna do all day? Are you gonna fly away? Are you gonna grow so tall? Are you gonna lie so still? Well, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Well, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do, little birdie? What you gonna do all day? I would like to invite you to join in a simple meditation with me just to really become present here together. So I invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable, or lower your gaze to a soft gaze. And take a deep breath in and let it out slowly. And another breath in and let it out slowly. And just slowly, mindfully tune into the senses of your body, the energy in your body, starting at the top of your head, just noticing, not judging, noticing any feelings, any tension, any tingling, without judgment, just noticing how your body's feeling. And then through your shoulders and your neck, just feeling your breath move through your body and noticing any sensations moving down your arms to your hands and through your chest and your upper back and your lower back, through your belly, through your hips, down through your thighs, your knees, your calves, to your ankles, to your feet. Feel the weight of your feet on the floor. Notice the weight of your body in the chair. Let yourself relax and just spend a moment listening to your own breath, just noticing how you're feeling. If your mind is very busy or very calm, or without judgment, just a few moments to notice. I invite you to take one deep breath and feel free to wiggle the fingers and toes and open the eyes. Stretch your body out if you're feeling you need a little stretch or a little adjustment in your seat. For the reading this morning, I chose a poem by Mary Oliver. She's one of my she's my favorite poet, and I think her work combines a lot of what I love in life. My background before I was into music full time was in environmental education, and I feel like Mary has this ability to look at the world and see things and notice things in such a keen, observant way, and has this ability to connect the nature around us to the spirit within us and above us and around us also. And this poem is called "Where Does the Temple Begin? Where Does It End?" There are things you can't reach, but you can reach out to them, and all day long. The wind, the bird flying away, the idea of God. And it can keep you as busy as anything else, and happier. The snake slides away, the fish jumps like a little lily out of the water and back in. The goldfinches sing from the unreachable top of the tree. I look. Morning to night, I am never done with looking. Looking, I mean, not just standing around, but standing around as though with your arms open and thinking, maybe something will come. Some shining coil of wind or a few leaves from any old tree. They are all in this too. And now I will tell you the truth. Everything in the world comes, at least closer and cordially, like the nibbling, tinsel-eyed fish. the unlooping snake, like goldfinches, little dolls of gold fluttering around the corner of the sky of God, the blue air. Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, it is just a pleasure, an honor to get to come and share part of my story. I love hearing people's journeys, and it's really always an honor to get to share some of mine. So I'm going to share some of my journey into music, and hopefully you'll have a chance to kind of reflect on your own journey through whatever path you are on. And I love that poem by Mary Oliver because it's about reaching, it's about wanting something to come and kind of looking and questioning. And I've always been one to question a lot. I've always wondered a lot and had a lot of questions. And I grew up in a Lutheran church, and my parents were both Sunday school teachers, and my dad was the president of the church council. So we were there all the time. We were there for every service and every extra event. I was in there. And in this space, I had a lot of questions as a kid. I had a lot of concerns and questions and curiosities about all these things I was learning and hearing. And unfortunately, my church wasn't that great on having a dialogue of questioning. I think that's why I'm drawn to Unitarian Universalists, because there's like plenty of room for questioning, which is one thing I love, just wondering and questioning and looking. And but growing up in that Lutheran church really was my first real introduction to music, which I think it is for a lot of people, a lot of young kids. You know, a lot of times before you even go into school and have any music, you're in church and you're having music and you're singing hymns. And that was a part I really loved about those services, was getting to sing with everybody in the service. And one year, I think I was about 8 or 9 years old, my dad asked me to sing a duet with him for Father's Day. This was like a big deal for him. He enjoyed singing too. He sang in the church choir, but he had this idea to sing a duet with his daughter on Father's Day in front of the whole congregation. And I said, okay, because it's my dad, and he asked me, and so I said yes. And so we sang Faith of Our Fathers on Father's Day, me and this little girl with my dad. And of course, everyone loved it. You know, I would love to see a dad and daughter sing a duet together. But for me, I was really overwhelmed. I was a young kid who didn't really know what I was singing about. I didn't choose the song. I just did this as a favor to my dad. And I didn't really understand what I was singing. But afterwards, there was a little luncheon, a little coffee time, and all of these people came up to me and said, you made me cry. Like, you need to keep doing this. You made me cry. And as a little 8-year-old girl, singing about something I didn't know I was singing about, singing just because I like to sing, but without really feeling it in my own heart, I was really overwhelmed with this energy. And even though I couldn't quite articulate it, then I knew there was some power there. There was a power to stand up and sing in front of people. I was affecting them emotionally. I didn't want to make people cry. That was really, that was too much. And so, but people kept saying, you know, when are you and your dad going to sing again? When are you going to do it? And this begins the story. This begins the classic telling. There's this storytelling template known all throughout a lot of old stories and mythology and movies, and you might recognize some of these arcs, but there's a storytelling template called the hero's journey. And there's a lot of things that stories all have in common in this format. And so the first part of the journey, everything's normal, everything's fine. And then the first big step is there's a call to adventure. There's a call to something. So you think of like Bilbo Baggins in The Hobbit, like he's called. There's this, you know, all these movies and stories follow this. And I was asked in a writing workshop recently, we all had to use this template of the hero's journey to tell part of our own story. And I picked this journey into music, and I realized, wow, it really follows this template because I was called at a really young age. And if you're familiar with the template, you know the next step is the refusal of the call. And that is what I did. I refused. I said, no, I'm not singing in church anymore. I'm not singing in front of people. That was too much. And people are like, well, you're so good at it. You need to do it. And I was like, no. And so the refusal of the call. And in the meantime, I still sang. I sang in the, in the pews. I sang in the safety of the pews. I sang the hymns. But I also started singing on the school bus. That was like my first songwriting endeavors, were taking popular songs and rewriting the lyrics into parodies about my friends and my teachers, all in the purpose of making my friends laugh on the school bus, which felt safe. It was, we just had a very small crowd of friends laughing. And I still stuck with music. I got into the band. I joined band in middle school and through high school, and I played the flute. And then later I played the tuba because all our tuba players graduated. So I had a flute to tuba. Yeah, that's not that big of a difference. So I upgraded. And but I knew in those spaces, I knew why I was with a group, and I knew why I was performing in band. It's to build community, and it's to get people pepped up for the ball game. So that I knew why I was doing what I was doing, and it felt good because I was doing it with a bunch of other people that were doing it. So I was in band, and then in my early teenage years, I started writing songs in my head. And I just thought probably everybody does that. And so I would make up my own little melodies. I would get these melodies stuck in my head, and then I would work on words. And then that really like amped up when I turned 16 and got my driver's license. I inherited my great grandpa's pickup truck, and it didn't have a radio. It was this old Ford F-100, 3 on the tree manual truck with no radio. And I would drive myself to work and school, and I would entertain myself by singing these songs that I would write. And I would write them in my head as I was driving because I could sing out loud and no one could hear me. It was just for me and the safety of the pickup truck. And so I never shared any of these songs with anybody. I just kept writing them in my head. And that's really where I got into the craft of songwriting without even knowing or calling myself a songwriter. I was just doing it in my head because it was entertaining, because I was bored, because there was no radio. And I got into really enjoying language. And I've always written. I've had a journal since I was 8 years old. I still have all of my journals. And so I've always been a writer. I've always enjoyed writing. But journal, again, secret. It's hidden. Nobody else sees that. And then I would write some poetry in my journal every now and then. And I got really into that rhythm and rhyme of words, the sound of words and the play of words, and trying to find the right rhyme at the end of a line, and trying to find the right rhythm where the line would make sense in the song. I got really into that all in my head for many years. And then when I graduated high school, I went to college. I went down to Hocking College. I studied ecotourism and got into environmental education. And I've always been an outdoors kind of person. That was a big part of my childhood, was playing outside. And so I went down there, and then through environmental education, I got involved with a lot of camps. And I worked at summer camps for a long time, and then I ran environmental ed programs. And so I worked with school groups in the spring and the fall. And then in the summertime, I would work with these Big Brothers, Big Sisters camps where kids would come down from Columbus to the Hocking Hills. And music became a whole different thing. If anybody's worked at a camp or been to a camp, you probably know it's just the blood of the camp. It's the lifeblood of the camp. You're getting ready for breakfast, and everyone's singing outside the dining hall. You sing grace together. You sing around the campfire at night. It's this bigger community event. And that's really where I learned how to be in front of a group of people. And so different from standing in front of the church where everyone's listening and I was singing something and affecting people. At camp, it was like, I'm singing something and they're repeating back. And the more excited I get, the more excited the kids get, the more excited they get, the more excited I get. It was a mutual sharing and growing of this excitement and fun within the camp. And that's really, I loved that communal experience and really learned how to perform and be in front of people in that space. So I lived this kind of life in my early 20s where I would work spring, summer, fall at camps. I would live totally at camp. I didn't have another place. And then in the winter, we would have the winter off. And so I got in these habits of migrating south and west into warmer spaces. And I would volunteer on organic farms, and I would just travel and meet people. I was in my early 20s. My eyes and my mind were like wide open. Nothing could go wrong. And I traveled the country, and eventually that led me down this dirt road outside of Death Valley And I ended up at this wilderness campground once with a couple friends. And we were camping out there, but then at night there was this community campfire, and there were some other folks camped out there. And some of them had guitars, and they would all gather around and they would play around the campfire. And I loved it so much, the community aspect of it and the way people came together at the end of the day was so nourishing. I would go every night, and anybody who had a guitar would bring it, and then anybody else who wanted to listen or just hang out would come and sing along, and I'd get right in there and sing along with these folks, and I loved it so much. And this this group, well, I loved it so much that my two friends that I came there with, they had to go after a few days. They had other travels to do, and they're like, come on, let's go. And I was like, I just want to stay here. And I did. I stayed for weeks. I had a little supply of food in my backpack at my tent. It was the first time, I was 22, it was the first time I'd ever been out in the world without a car, just with my backpack, and trusting that when the time was right to leave, I would find a ride. And so it's kind of this leap into it, because I really just love this space in this community, and I had some time to kill. This was February. I didn't have to be back to camp by April, so I was just gonna figure it out as I went. And then I met my friend Myron, who was one of the people who had a guitar around the campfire. And Myron, we'd sing a lot of songs together. He knew all the old John Prine songs, and he knew a lot of great songs that everybody could sing along with. And Myron said, you know, if you like music so much and you like to sing, why don't you learn to play guitar? I was like, I can do that? Like, I never considered it before. And so enters another step of the hero's journey. The hero meets their mentor. And if you think of classic stories like Star Wars, Yoda would be the mentor, or like Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi comes in, or Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings. You have this person with some knowledge who comes in and says, this is how you do it. And so Myron showed me some chords on the song. I should tell you a little bit. Myron he's a really interesting person. He is one of my only friends. I think he's my only friend who doesn't have a phone, and he doesn't have an email address. And he religiously wears his buckskin shorts that he made himself. He skinned a roadkill deer and made himself buckskin shorts. And he's a real primitive skills kind of guy. So this is like what a classic mentor to meet in the middle of the desert. I was like, but Myron plays guitar. He's a great songwriter. You can find him around a campfire in the middle of nowhere, coming soon. And so he showed me some chords, and then I told him, you know, I've made up some songs in my head. And he said, well, sing me one. And I did, and then he figured out the chords, and then he handed me the guitar, and then he showed me how to play my own song. And all of a sudden, these songs that were in my head, I had a vehicle to share them with, and it was like magic. And there were people around in the campfire area that were so supportive and wanting to listen. And all of a sudden, all these things I'd kept to myself, I had a way to share them. And it made such a difference. And I think looking back at that first time of singing in front of people, that wasn't a song I chose. It wasn't something I understood. So to sing it out and make people cry was too much. It was overwhelming. But now when I get up and sing in front of people, if somebody comes up to me afterwards and says, you made me cry, I feel like I really did my job, which is to share what I've made, which is all of our jobs, to share what we have, to share our gift that we've been given with each other. And so there's a lot more steps to the hero's journey. You have to slay a dragon, and there's like a bunch of, you know, death-defying things you have to do. And there's been plenty of that in my journey through music, as I've come from around the campfire learning a few chords to playing music full time. But the end of the journey is you come back changed. You resist, you're called to something, you resist something, you find somebody who helps you through, you go through these challenges, and you come back changed. You come back with something to share, with something to give. And I've found that giving music really fulfills me. And even combining with my background in environmental education, I do a lot of music classes with kids now, and I share music through schools. And it's been quite a journey. And I think in the end, even though music was such a big part of my life earlier, I had to find some kind of genuine space to share it from. I had to find my own voice in my own genuine space. And I would offer you the opportunity to reflect in your own mind about the journey you're on, your life journey. And you get many journeys in one life. You get called to many things. And so you may have been through many different journeys. And just to consider what part of the journey you might be on. Have you been called to something? Do you have a gift or a talent that people keep calling you to do? Are you in the space of resisting the call? I obviously stayed in that space for a long, long time. And that's okay too. That's part of the journey. Are you looking for a mentor? Or maybe you are the mentor in somebody else's story. Maybe you're called to be a mentor. And are you in the challenging part? Are you facing a dragon right now? Or have you come through and brought something back that you're nourishing and sharing with your community? So we all have these great stories and journeys we're going to be on all through our lives. And I think it's kind of fun to take those templates and try to find ourselves within them. So I'm going to step back over to the other mic and I'll share a few songs with you. They just gave me full reign this morning. I have like complete control up here. This is really trusted me. Usually I have a helper or somebody to corral me. This is a song called Used to Be. This was written in 2020, the great year of 2020. And the summer, of course, all my work got canceled that summer, and I'm used to traveling all over the country and doing lots of tours, but since I wasn't doing that, I thought, I gotta go somewhere, I gotta get out of the house. And I called my friend who lives in the Hocking Hills, and she owns a bed and breakfast. And I said, can I rent a little cabin from you just for a couple nights to come down and write and just get away? And she said, no, I don't want to get away. I'm going to pay you to come for a whole week and watch my place while I leave. And so I said, okay. And I do that sometimes. I'll house sit for people. I find it quite inspiring to write in other people's houses. And I've written a lot of songs in other people's houses while they weren't there. And got paid to feed their dog and write songs in their house. So it's one of my hobbies. So this one I wrote out there, out in the Hocking Hills, while I was kind of sorting some things out. I'm trying to be quiet. I'm trying to listen. I'm trying to figure out what I've been missing. I listen for the thunder, I listen for the night bird, I listen for a melody, I listen for the right words. Take me down, take me in, turn me around, bring me home again. I've been waiting to see if I'll ever return to what I used to be. 'Cause I was a wild one, the colors of a moth wing. I was a summer sun, I was heat and lightning, and I was a cold rain, I was a moonflower, I was a summer night, I was a meteor shower. Take me down, take me in, turn me around, bring me home again. I've been waiting to see if I'll ever return to what I used to be. Now I'm sweeping out the cupboards, trapping all the mice, shaking out the bugs in the middle of the night, digging through the boxes, pushing around the dirt, sorting through the papers. I'm still looking for the words. Take me down, take me in, turn me around, bring me home again. I've been waiting, waiting to see if I'll ever return to what I used to be. Will I ever return to what I used to be? Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, this next one was inspired by my sister. She lives all the way in Oakland, California, which feels way too far away most days. And for you folks that have friends or family that live far, far away, you know that feeling of, longing and wanting them to be closer. But when you do finally get together, it makes that time even more just so precious, And this is a song about getting together with folks, and it's also a song about springtime in Ohio, which also feels a very precious short time, Sometimes it feels like it goes right from winter to summer, so you really gotta try to grasp onto those nice spring days. Hunting morels, harvesting ramps, me and my sister out at the camp. The first week in May, we come and we stay for a while, spying on birds up in the trees, listening for warbles as the little birds sing, the flash of yellow through green. Then we smile, and she only comes once a year, but it's the very best time of year, when the warblers, the wildflowers, and the waterfalls and my sister are here. Catching a tadpole, kissing a frog, searching for life under a log. The world is alive and nothing can hide from us now. Counting the flowers we tiptoe around, the colors and patterns that cover the ground. The world is exploding, exposing her beauty somehow. And she only comes once a year, but it's the very best time of year, when the warblers, the wildflowers, and the waterfalls and my sister are here. Through the long, dark winter's gray, we'll talk on the phone thousands of miles away, and it's a comfort to me, but I long for the day when the warblers, the wildflowers, and the waterfalls, the warblers, the wildflowers, and the waterfalls, the warblers, the wildflowers, and the waterfalls, and my sister are here. And my sister is here. Thank you. Well, there's a story behind this next song. I mean, there's a story behind every song, but there's an actual book behind this song because I was reading. Inspiration can come from a lot of different places when you're creating things. And I was reading the book Follow the River. I don't know if anybody's here has read this book. It's a historic novel, and it's based partly in Ohio, but it's a true story about this woman, Mary Ingalls, who was living in Virginia in the 1700s. And she was a white woman. She was living in this white settlement town in Virginia before Ohio was settled. And she was down there in Virginia, and her town, her little village, was raided by a Shawnee tribe, by an Ohio tribe. And they raided her town, and they took some prisoners, including Mary. And when they took the prisoners, they took them away from their village, and they took them by canoe up the New River to the Kanawha River, to the Ohio River, and then to their village where modern-day Portsmouth is. And so Mary was terrified. Of course, she wanted to leave and go home and escape somehow, and of course anybody would in any situation like that. And this was like pre-GPS times. 1700s is even pre-map of that region. Nobody had really explored and documented that area, but Mary was smart and she paid attention all along the way, and she knew if she could escape, she could follow these big rivers and potentially find her way back home, because she paid attention along the way and she knew that they just came into these big rivers and which way they turned. But she was on the north side of the river. She'd have to be on the south side of the river to try to make that walk, and it's quite a big river, as you know. And they were in this village, and so she was always kind of being watched. It was hard to get away from the village. And so about 6 months after living with this tribe, they traveled even further away from home. They went downriver for this seasonal gathering of salt in the salt fields on the south side of Cincinnati. So they were down on the Kentucky side, just south of Cincinnati area. And they were out in the fields harvesting salt, and they would send Mary out to harvest salt. And she realized that, not like the village where she was being watched, down at the salt camp, they would send her out, and then she'd have parts of the day where nobody was really watching. So she decided she's on the south side of the river, nobody's watching. And one day, Mary and one other woman, they got sent out to harvest salt. They had a blanket and a knife with them, is about all. And they walked out to harvest salt. And then they kept walking and walking and walking and walking. They followed the Ohio River all the way back to the Kanawha River, and it's October, so it's not the best of weather in October, but they walked a whole length of the Ohio River back to the Kanawha River, and then they walked the Kanawha River back to the New River. And if you've ever hiked around the New River Gorge, you know the New River is not the easiest place to walk. I think about that every time I'm driving through. They're like, how do you walk? How did you do that? And they walked that, and their shoes fell apart by the end of their trip. Their hair turned gray. And at the end of all these miles, it was probably about 600 miles by the time they had to go around all these little rivers. Just these two women out there on their own without any GPS, following these rivers. Eventually, they make it back home. They make it all the way back to Virginia. And I just love a good story of human survival, of the human will to live. Isn't it amazing what people can do under extreme circumstances? And that one really just stands out to me, especially being in this area where you can really, you know what it looks like, you know what it'd be like, and imagine these places without any roads or any buildings, and to walk that whole distance home. So it's a story of survival. It's a story of making it. And through the storytelling, through the novel of this book, there's also this little bit of thread of doubt that kind of weaves its way. And I think for anybody going through any kind of hard journey of any kind, there can be this little bit of doubt that lingers in through your journey, because when you're trying to get back home, and you've changed so much and been through so much, if you do get there, will home really feel like home anymore? And when you're trying to get back to this sense of a normal life, but you've gone through so much and you've changed as a person, will you ever get back to what your old normal was? So for anybody who's been through a hard journey, you're going through a hard journey, hang in there. And this one's called Fever. Woke up with a fever, woke up with a fever in the wilderness. I've been digging up roots, living off moss and bark and bitterness. And now I'm not the same woman that I once was. I'm not the same. I'm not the same woman that I once was. I'm not the same after all. I cut my skin down to the bone and my hair is turning white. I saw the flame, the flicker of my soul nearly burn out in the dark of the night. And I'm not the same woman that I once was. I'm not the same. I'm not the same woman that I once was. I'm not the same after all. And after all that I've been through, will you still love me? And when I look into your eyes, will you still see me? Well, I hope you're waiting, I hope you're waiting for me to come back home. 'Cause I'm coming to you, I'm crawling to you, but I'm afraid you won't recognize me anymore. 'Cause I'm not the same woman that I once was. I'm not the same. I'm not the same woman that I once was. I'm not the same after all. Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to get to share songs in this space. The dreams I don't remember, they are hanging in the air. In the morning when I'm waking, I still think I feel them there. Then they suddenly slip through my fingers. The dreams I don't remember. The dreams I don't remember. I was born already dreaming. They were passed down by my mother in a blanket she was weaving. That goes back into the past and on forever. The dreams I don't remember. The dreams I don't remember. The dreams I don't remember. Thank you. We do have a little bit of time. If anybody has any questions or comments they want to share, and then we'll end with one song all together. But I should mention I did bring a whole suitcase of goodies back there. I've got some T-shirts and some CDs with my original music on it. There's some free stickers sitting there in the pile. And I have an email list if you want to stay in touch. I play all over the place. I get up here when I can, but I'm also heading out. I'm playing the Nelsonville Music Festival back home in a couple weeks, and I'm heading out. Yeah, I'm excited about that one. And then I'm heading out on a big trip, a big tour through Chicago and Iowa and Wisconsin and Minnesota and South Dakota and Colorado. So getting ready to put some miles on. So if you know folks in those areas, please look me up and send them my info and where I'm going. But does anybody have any questions or thoughts that came up during this?
What's your website?
Oh, it's meganbmusic.com. All right then. Perhaps we'll all sing a song together. Like I mentioned earlier, I teach a lot of kids music programs. I do stuff at the local libraries, and then this year I had the pleasure of working with a local school back home every Tuesday, and we sang this song a lot. This is a song by Ella Jenkins, who's one of my favorite kids artist. She's an African-American woman who lives outside of Chicago. She was really dear friends with Mr. Rogers. She's still alive. I think she might be in her 90s now, but Ella Jenkins was the very first Black woman to host her own TV show. She had a kids variety show, and she's written a ton of albums of just kids music and has this heart of gold. And I was at a folk conference last year and met some folks that are working on a documentary about her. So when that comes out, we watched some clips and we were just sobbing. It was so sweet and wonderful. And this is one of her songs. I'll teach it to you. It goes, you'll sing a song and I'll sing a song and we'll sing a song together. You'll sing a song and I'll sing a song in warm and wintry weather. You'll sing a song and I'll sing a song and we'll sing a song together. You'll sing a song and I'll sing a song in warm and wintry weather. Now that we caught on, let's do that all together again. You'll sing a song and I'll sing a song and we'll sing a song together. You'll sing a song and I'll sing a song in warm and wintry weather. Next he goes, you'll hum a line and I'll hum a line. You'll hum a line and I'll hum a line and we'll hum a line together. You'll hum a line and I'll hum a line in warm and wintry weather. Now we're gonna hum it. Ready? You'll whistle a while and I'll whistle a while. You'll whistle a while and I'll whistle a while, and we'll whistle a while together. You'll whistle a while and I'll whistle a while in warm and wintry weather. All right, let's try it. Nice, Rima Whistlers. All right, let's sing it one more time. You'll sing a song and I'll sing a song, and we'll sing a song together. You'll sing a song and I'll sing a song in warm and wintry weather. Beautiful. Thank you so much for providing this space and singing with me. May you go out with a song in your heart and joy in your life. Go in peace. Thank you.